Has been the fastest start to winter regarding forced sale listings since 2011, but the rental shortage is worsening. Anne Flaherty, economist at REA Group, joins me. How are you this morning, Anne?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very well indeed. Well, let's start with the reasons why we've got this fast new sale listing since 2011. What are the main reasons here?
Well, it's a good question. Generally speaking, winter is the quietest time of year in the property market, but we've actually had the most new properties come up for sale in June in over a decade. So there's obviously a lot of people out there who are looking to perhaps capitalise on some of these enormous price gains that we've seen over the last couple of years, particularly now that we're seeing so much in the media about potential price falls.
And what about the rental crisis? Because we have a homelessness crisis. Just reading online there in The Guardian, for example, in South Australia, 16,000 people on the waiting list for social housing. And we're seeing stats, very similar to that across the country. So it's not only a rental crisis, it's a homeless crisis.
Yeah. What we're seeing in the rental market at the moment is extremely concerning. We've seen rents rise over the last 12 months at the fastest rate in 7 years, and we don't see any signs that this is going to slow. And there's a few reasons for that. One is that we've seen the average household size decrease slightly, so that means more homes required for the same number of people. At the same time, we saw a lot of property investors sell up over the last few years. Far more property investors have sold than have bought, and that's reduced the overall stock of rental properties. So, and then I guess another factor is that with the return of population growth, the return of tourism, this is also increasing that demand for rental properties.
Is there any chance of putting a certain cap on rental increases? For example, only a month or so ago, I heard somebody who had just the average property that they were renting, and it went up by $250 a week pretty much overnight. I mean, that's a huge increase in such a short term. Is there any talk on particular caps or anything?
It is something I know that the Greens in Sydney proposed. I think that a challenge with that sort of a policy is that would terrify property investors, and we'd see even more investors flee the market. Now, the situation in Australia is that, close to 1/3 of Australians actually rent a property from a private landlord. Private landlords really are the people who provide the rental accommodation. So you really need to have a balance where property investors aren't scared of investing. But then, of course, you need to balance that by ensuring that tenants are protected from astronomical rises like that,
Yeah, absolutely right. It is a balance, isn't it? In terms of the number of buyers moderating, what are you seeing? Are we seeing any change?
Yes, we are. So that even though we're starting to see, we've seen a strong start to winter for properties for sale, the actual number of buyers out there has been steadily declining since the start of the year. So particularly since the Reserve Bank started increasing interest rates, and with inflation so high, I think that there's a lot of nerves out there. So buyers are becoming more cautious. They're taking longer to put in an offer on a property. So in a sense, we're sort of in exactly the opposite position to where we were last year.
Yeah, you make a very good point there, and prices declining. The reverse is certainly happening with the rents. Are we going to see any relief inside anytime soon? There's so much to digest, isn't there?
There is so much to digest. We're starting to see property prices beginning to decline, but then on the reverse side, we're seeing rents really increase very rapidly. It is a lot to take in.
Well, we appreciate your time and your expertise as always, Anne Flaherty. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.